Photographers are like pigeons with one leg. You pity them when you see them in the streets. They're often seen looking for the perfect opportunity to find bread. People feed them crackers and foods they probably shouldn't eat. It doesn't mean if 5 of them came to me for help, I'd refuse. What's wrong with you today?
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
Alright, we're helping 5 loser photographers. We're on the Canon R8. Marcus picks gift. 24mm 1.4 at Tony 2. Because we will be switching to the Zeiss Batis. I have not used my Sony A7S III in a long time. Since getting all these new toys, I'm like, oh man, it's probably the best thing I have still. But we will see. And we're in log, but I will switch to standard for the next question. Because I'm sick of not knowing how to grade C-Log 3. I'm like pale for some reason. Maybe it's the Canadian winter. Was that your question? I'm thinking about FX30 and A6700. Thoughts? It's the same camera. Same basic innards. If you gutted a squirrel, and you squeezed out the gut juice. Same as a rat. Same as a rat. Thoughts? I'm cheap. I'm okay with Super 35. Yeah, that's what you have. Just like the movies, huh? Your APS-C cameras is as good as an Arri. They use Super 35. You saw my rant. I did it. So, my thoughts are... same exact camera. The only difference is the FX30 is bigger, heavier, more expensive, and can shoot forever with its fan. So you can do 4K 120p for an hour straight, just like everybody wants to do on a tripod in the sun, on a black roof. If you use it like a normal person, you now have a viewfinder and a lighter body and a cheaper thing in the A6700 and you're good to go. Boom, squirrel. Yep, boom, got it. Stopped the recording. The real question you have to ask yourself is why the hell am I going into Sony APS-C? It's the dumbest format of all the formats. You have the Sony ZV-E10 that debunks both of those and it's lighter. Just a couple more coins. You save up, you mow someone's lawn, you deliver a baby to someone and get someone, you'll get money from that, I think. If it was me, I'm going A6700 to save the money, and I have a viewfinder for wildlife. Boom, you're done. What you're not done with is Sony Color Science. Disgusting IBIS with no stabilized lenses. Have fun with that. But the most reliable autofocus in the business, unlike Canon, I have to set responsiveness up now. Yes, the battery is flashing. I should have recharged that. Oh boy. I just noticed it will not recognize me ever if the responsiveness is at 0. Sony, no matter what your settings are, perfect autofocus, pretty much. Guaranteed. You get access to Zeiss glass. That's the only reason you're in Sony. Every lens I have now is almost fully Zeiss. We just have to switch out. I need a Zeiss telephoto. Too bad they don't make those for old Sony boy. So you're in Zeiss A6700 with some Zeiss Batis primes. Wow, look at you. 85mm 1.8. I'm debating getting that one, but I have the Canon 85mm 1.2. Why would I? All right, let's switch to standard. Battery boy, flash boy. Leave me alone with your haunting. Look who had a spare battery. Huh? Little pro tip for you. You can buy more than one. Oh, that is good times. Hello, Casey, new fan of your channel. All I have is a smartphone, Samsung S20. I could run this whole thing on the S20 and you would only see it look better and sharper. That's the reality. So if you're looking to upgrade something, you're in the wrong store. I want to buy a real camera for the first time. Oh boy. I see a lot of positive reviews about the A6700. Unfortunately, Sony doesn't consider India as a potential market. Not available here. That hurts. Hurts your face. Compatible models, Canon, Fuji, Micro Four Thirds, Panasonic, all available. Can you suggest any hybrid alternatives? A67 for a first timer. First time in what? What are you doing for the first time? I hate you all so much. Every time it's like, what's the best camera for me? Who are you? I don't even know you. Are you doing exactly what I'm doing? Because that's what I have to default to. I assume you're asking, you're not looking for like, what's the best macro photography / astrophotography lens. Why would I know any of that? So since you gave me zero information about your life, I would have to suggest you get the Canon R10 with the new 10 to 18 super light RF lens, and then you're vlogging in Nebraska or the frickin' Arctic Circle, wherever you live. I have no idea, I'm just guessing. Canon R10, that could be fun for you. A super light, somewhat affordable, pretty cheap. You're not getting any of the specs of the Sony, but so what? You're a first timer. This is your first time doing whatever it is you're doing. So Canon, that's a decent option. Or you go step up to the R8 with some EF glass used. Oh yeah, India. I remember now. Okay. They probably have some. It's a little dusty. The roads, it might have milk on it. A lot of vegetarians out there. Cows are sacred. Get a cow to deliver you something. What are you waiting for? It's India. The world is your oyster. R8 with, I don't know, can you get this? I doubt it. It's their first time. Don't even reach this high. Nikon Z30. Why aren't you getting that? It has no specs whatsoever, but it's fun, isn't it? Just the kit lens, you're done. You have a real camera, it'll perform quite nicely. What are you gonna do, grade? It's your first time. You're not grading 10-bit footage. Go Nikon. Come on. I would show you mine, but it has a secret lens on it right now. We'll switch to it soon. So you're going Nikon. Congratulations to you. Congrats. Let's switch to Sony. Oh man. Sony color science. Come on. Throw me a snack here, Sony. Just for once in your life, handle my mixed lighting scenarios. What the hell? Is that guy buying my shit? Okay. I'm selling some lenses. Question, which one to choose between Fuji XF 35mm 1.4 or the Viltrox 27mm 1.2? Have we learned nothing? Viltrox is a hobo design made for people who think sharp things in the corners are the best thing ever. When you want a real lens, you go to the old Fuji glass, even though the autofocus will jump and yell at you. It's so loud, but so beautiful. Except that's a legendary lens you're talking about versus this modern thing that, oh, you have a little bit more done and it's sharp. But will you ever show someone an image taken from that and have them go, wow, I feel like I'm in the shot? No, they'll cry at the sharpness. We're like, why is it so sharp? My eyes are bleeding. You want blood on your hands, you go Viltrox. If you want magic, you go Fuji. The old Fuji. Don't get the 33mm 1.4 that's upgraded. They downgraded the heart. There's no character left. It's just sharpness. Autofocus motors. Did you see? They're making the old legendary kit lens that was an 18 to 55, 2.8 to 4. They're now making a replacement that is 16 to 50, 2.8 to 4.8, and no stabe. The only reason to use that kit lens was the stabe. It was actually one of the few of Fuji lenses that sunk the stabe in a sink-like fashion. It worked, so it was a little tight. So I thought maybe they would make it wider, but keep the stabe. Who are you, Fuji? You just ruined that whole thing. Everybody in the comments hates the fact that you removed optical stabe, and they don't like losing 5mm, and they don't like it being darker. This is what I'm saying. The camera industry is heading downhill, getting worse and worse. That's not an improvement. It's, if you would have said, oh, here's the 16 to 50, we now have an 18 to 55 with stabe, you'd be like, holy shit, that's way better. That's the older lens. It already was there. Ow. Ow. So what the hell, man? That turned into a don't buy anything Fuji rant, but at least their old stuff was pretty good. So 100% you get the 35mm. That's a legendary lens. I wish I had it. I don't even have a camera to wield it on. Let us switch to Sony standard profile and see what that does. We're in log, hopefully. Probably not. Yeah, we are. I mess things up sometimes. All right, we're back. Just sold those two Siriu lenses, the 35mm and the 55mm 1.2 600 dingers for the both of them. Thank God. It's just a side rant on ants. My house is riddled with these tiny little pharaoh ants. If you know how to get rid of them without hurting them, somehow lead them out of my house. I looked in the box one day of the Siriu lens, the 55mm, because I'm getting ready to sell them all, full of ants. I was like, what the hell happened to that? So like all the other boxes were fine, so I hand him the one box and one without the box. I'm like, the reason there's no box, the ants. Like, I couldn't believe, what the hell were they doing? It was like every ant on earth was in that Siriu lens box. What do they coat it with? Candy? Was that your question? Could you possibly do a video how you expose for video? You're asking me how I expose? I have the worst exposure every time. I have no idea what I'm doing. Ever. Like right now, zero idea of what my midtones should be, what the highlights should be, the shadows. Sometimes they're too lifted. I never know what to do. The sky in your content always looks good and never blown out. That's because cameras refuse to expose for me. They just do highlight priority, so usually the sky's not clipping, and that's why I like nice dynamic range in a camera. Because like if the sky is exposed nice, the shadows can be brought up. And so like I'm exposed as well. That's why full frame is fun. That's why I like it. Well, you're also lit properly. I will be using my G100 for walking video. Oh God, why are you doing this to me? Roast away on the G1. Yeah, I will. Previous camera, just a Coolpix A from 2012, so the G100's a giant leap forward for me. That is sad news. G100 is the worst iteration Panasonic's ever invented. Not only does it not have stabe, which means you cannot use any of the best glass, the Leica lenses. None of those are stabilized. The odd one is the 12 to 35. It's a good lens. But you suck. The reality is the giant leap forward for you was a giant leap backwards for mankind because they removed their best feature, IBIS. So now you're stuck with kit lenses or zooms that have stabe. Like there's the 42mm, freaking 42.5, 1.2 Leica lens. It's stabed. What are you going to do with it though? You can't vlog with it. Then what's the point? So like, man, you'd be better off with a G95 in my opinion, just because it has stabe. And if you want the secrets of exposure, put the eye dynamic setting on low to start with. You're not ready for high. It can be over abused, but at least low, that turns your cinema cam into a cinema cam. What? So your only option for the cinema right now with your G100 is to get the 12 to 35 Leica version 2.8 stabilized, and you can vlog, and then I'll subscribe. I won't watch any of your videos though, the algorithm will punish you. Okay, Sony, you disgust me. Let's switch to something with a little more dignity, shall we? Nikon Z30 and another secret lens. Not the same secret lens from the last video, a different one. Similar, almost like there's a set of them. You'll never guess it. Last question. I agree that the Sony ZV-E10 is old. I'm debating it still though. That's dumb. It's really dumb. It's like one of the worst releases I've ever seen. I hate it so much. I don't know why. It's so tiny and light. And even with the 11mm no stabe, if you're on a skateboard, it seemed like okay, stabe-wise. Like Sony IBIS would just make it more shaky. You little catalyst browse on that, but then you're down to 720p. It takes all your stuff away. There are rumors about a Mark II of the E10 or E20. Can you speculate a bit what they might put into it to make it crush? Are anyone saying that anymore? But they probably double the price. They would. In my opinion, Sony will ruin it because the industry is by necessity getting worse and worse. That's why I hope that Sony doesn't release a Sony X4000, because they'll remove all the great features of it. They'll make something different. That's actually what they've been doing for about 8 years now, I'm guessing. The RX0, like, that was supposed to be the X3000 upgrade with the bigger sensor, but it was a 24mm single autofocus. That's not long enough, and there was no stabe in it. So you had to crop the stabe. What the hell? Like, that thing on a selfie stick would work, but how would you focus on yourself? You have to press the shutter thing. It'll be farther away than you can touch. Long-armed freak, you're not Inspector Gadget. So it's like, and then they did all the ZV1 line, and then you see that's getting worse and worse. We went from ZV1 960 frames per second down to the ZV1 II, removing all those fun things. It's like, what do you think the ZV-E10's gonna add? It's gonna be worse, probably. They'll probably do like an A6700 specs type of thing, shrunken body, definitely overheating. No stabe whatsoever, 45% crop. I ain't interested. I want to see the A7S IV and see what Sony innovates on. What's the next thing for us? 4K 480 frames per second in a 10-second burst. Unlimited 10-second back-to-back burst. That's good times. I told Insta360 they should be adding the bursts, 1,000 frames per second in a little burst. You could do it. You're doing 8K 24p. He said, yeah, we can probably handle something like that. Do you think people want it? Of course we want it. I want it. I might be the only one, but I'll buy it. Or I'll accept you sending it to me for free. I'll accept it. I'm curious if Nikon white balance is accurate or not. Boom. Did it change? And is it better now that we DaVinci corrected? Wow. So there's only so far down the budget hobo line I'm willing to fall in the Sony lineup, and it's like, you take out any of the fun. Where's the fun? Add the fun back. You know the RX10 Mark V's coming, and it's going to remove 1,000 frames per second, and oh, but it's a longer lens. Oh my god. No one cares about your color science, you freak. So, as we witnessed here today, we started with Canon R8 versus Sony A7S III in log. Who had the better color science there? If it's Sony, I will cry. And then we both switched to standard profiles because I don't know how to color grade. And then we witnessed Sony real color science versus Canon real color science. And one of the victors won that day, didn't they? But then we noticed the little Nikon that could, who cost less than an eighth than either of the systems, outperformed it in 8-bit technology. A Marcus Pix delight. Straight out of camera. Just like a little Nikon. Wow. That was a Freudian slip. Are they going to team up? Like a Nikon? Nikon? There's so many possibilities with those names. Lycon, Nika, Nikol, Lycorn. I've helped you all so much today that I can just take the rest of the day off. I did so much good. Might as well just watch movies for the rest of the day. Because I've done the good that this world needed, didn't I? Huh? We sure did. What's that close focusing distance? It's pretty too much. It's a bit much. It's a bit much. You lost it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos. See you next.